wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. We are the Breakfast Club. DJ MV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. And let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Tiz.
Good morning, DJ MV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God.
Peace, Tez.
I know you want to start out with the AT&T experiencing nationwide outage.
Absolutely. And also, it is not just AT&T, Charlamagne, and Jess Hilarious. Verizon is also included, and T-Mobile as well. So I'm AT&T. So stand up, AT&T. It's not just us. So maybe you guys, maybe your service did not go, but it is, the actual article says from CNBC that it is AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon.
Well, that just updated though, 38 minutes ago. So.
Okay, well, Verizon is definitely included. So stand up, AT&T, Envy. We're not alone. So more than 800 service outages all over the country, and it says it is developing. But what I find interesting is Android people, like our producer Eddie. I don't know why people still like Android, but I couldn't text him this morning, but my AT&T was still working. So just wanted to give you the actual information on who has the outages and who does not, and it is developing, so we don't know why and all that good stuff, but I'll continue to follow it.
Okay, now also let's jump right into Trump.
Yeah, so former President Donald Trump asked the judge overseeing his civil fraud case to delay enforcing his $355 million judgment. He's asking for 1 month. He says that Letitia James, Attorney General Letitia James, is unseemingly rushed to enforce the judgment by submitting a proposal to the judge to sign just days after the ruling. Now, Attorney James said that if it is not paid, she will begin to seize assets. Take a listen.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
What's the precedent in a case like this?
Of a former president being
No, not a former president, but anytime somebody loses a civil lawsuit like this and they can't pay, do they push enforcement of payment like this on anyone? Like I'm asking, I'm wondering.
Yeah, well, in general, those options are there. Does it always happen every single time out of thousands of millions of cases? Probably not. Do people do payment arrangements? I mean, do people say, hey, we're just going to have a judgment? There's been some people that just had a judgment that never paid it. So it just really just depends. There's no general rule. Really depends on how the judge and how the judge wants to enforce it on a case-by-case basis. She also talked a little bit about, there's a lot of people that are saying, hey, this is a victimless crime. What's the big deal? He paid it back. So I wanted to give you her response to that as well. Take a listen.
They said no victim, no one got harmed, the banks got paid back, so no harm, no foul. Why is that not the case in your view?
So financial frauds are not victimless crimes. He engaged in this massive amount of fraud, and it wasn't just a simple mistake, a slight oversight. The variations were wildly exaggerated, and the extent of the fraud was staggering.
Trump said the penalty against him would drive other businesses out of New York.
We'll appeal, we'll be successful, I think, because frankly, if we're not successful, New York State is gone.
But the state's attorney general told us she's not worried.
And last I checked, tourism is up and Wall Street is doing just fine.
So Trump is asking for 30 days again, and he has 30 days from the judgment, from the date of the judgment, to either post a bond or appeal. We talked about earlier this week there's, I believe, an $18 million non-refundable fee just to post the bond, and the bond needs to be in the same amount as the judgment as well. So
yeah, I think people, like Letitia James, salute to Letitia James, you just got to make sure that, this isn't personal, because it's an election year, and let's make sure that these things aren't politicized and weaponized. I think they should follow the same protocols they follow with everybody else, because if they look like they're being too pushy and they're doing anything to Trump that they don't do with others, it's going to validate his witch hunt claims, and it's going to validate his, they are attacking me claims, and you don't want to do that.
I don't think they're concerned about that. Do you?
Well, that's not good politics then. If that's what they're doing, because all they're going to do is really energize his people to show up and support him.
That's exactly what they're doing.
I know. So they should be concerned about that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that is front page news. What are we talking next hour, Tez?
Yeah, guys, make sure you tap in. An Alabama court ruled that frozen embryos are now considered children. So some clinics are pausing their in vitro fertilization because they don't want to be open to wrongful death liability. So very interesting story. We're going to take the whole segment to break all of that down. I have a lot of information on that, so tap back in.
All right, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open. Call us now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Tiz.
Good morning, DJ Envy. Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy.
Good morning, Tiz.
Peace, Tiz.
Let's jump right into Alabama.
Yeah, this is a really, really interesting case, guys. I want to break all this down. An Alabama court has ruled that frozen embryos are children. Take a listen.
In Friday's unprecedented decision, the all-Republican court ruled that frozen embryos are the legal equivalent of children.
Hospital is
Now Alabama's largest hospital is
pausing
pausing
all
treatments
in
as
vitro
healthcare
fertilization
providers across the state
as
and the
healthcare
country
providers
evaluate
across the
what
state
this
and the
means.
country
The ruling
evaluate
could have
what
a
this
devastating
means.
effect
The
for
ruling
people who
could have a
desperately want to
devastating
have
effect
children
for people
in a
who
state
desperately
that
want to
already
have
has one
children
of the
in a
nation's
state
strictest
that already
abortion
has
laws.
one of the
The
nation's
decision
strictest
may also
abortion
make
laws.
the already
The decision
expensive
may
costs
also
of
make the
infertility
already
skyrocket
expensive costs
because
of
of rising
infertility
liability
skyrocket
costs.
Yeah, what the hell does this mean? I'm with them.
Yeah.
I need what does that mean?
Yeah, let me give you some more information, and then I'm going to answer that question. Now, nearly 100,000 babies who were born using IVF treatments, which is in vitro fertilization, is more than 2% of all births. Now, before I get into some more details, I want you to take a listen to what this patient had to say and how they're pausing her treatment. Take a listen to that.
Is IVF your last hope to have a baby?
Yes, there is no other way.
This morning, York got a phone call from her fertility doctor at the University of Alabama with the news. The hospital system is pausing all IVF treatments while it takes a closer look at the state Supreme Court's ruling that frozen embryos are considered people.
Now, Nikki Haley chimed in on this. She kind of made one statement and then she backtracked, or some people say clarify. I want you to hear what she said about how she was an IVF patient, because this is obviously going to become a political issue. And then she came back and said, no, that wasn't what I said on the King Charles show. Take a listen to that. And then Charlamagne, I'm going to explain how we got here.
I mean, embryos to me are babies. So
Even those created through IVF.
I mean, I had artificial insemination. That's how I had my son.
Didn't say that I agreed with the Alabama ruling. What the question that I was asked is, do I believe an embryo is a baby? I do think that if you look in the definition, an embryo is considered an unborn baby. And so, yes, I believe from my stance that is. The difference is, and this is what I say about abortion as well, we need to treat these issues with the utmost respect.
Okay. Now, I believe it was last week, somebody called in on Get It Off Your Chest and said, what is reproductive rights? What are you reproducing? This falls under reproductive rights. So when you hear reproductive rights, it's not just about abortion. It's also about the ability to have a child, which IVF falls under. Now, this case stems from a wrongful death lawsuit. So guys, 3 couples whose embryos were lost at a fertility clinic in 2020. The patient wandered into the place where the embryos were stored, handled them, and accidentally dropped them. As a result, the embryos were destroyed. So the couple sought to sue the Center for Reproductive Medicine under the state's Wrongful Death of a Minor Act. Now, that law at that time only covered a fetus. It did not recover embryos. Mm-hmm. So the lower court ruled that embryos did not qualify as a person or a child, and that the wrongful death lawsuit could not move forward. But then the Alabama Supreme Court came in, sided with the couples, and ruled that the frozen embryos were considered children. So now that ruling said that the wrongful death can apply to all unborn children, regardless of their location. Chief Justice, who is a conservative Chief Justice, Tom Parker, wrote that even before birth, all human beings have the image of God and their lives cannot be destroyed without effacing his glory. So that's how we got here.
Yeah, I don't believe you should be held liable if you destroy frozen embryos. Because, in the Alabama case, it was an accident.
But she shouldn't have been in there.
Who, the
was
patient?
No accident. That lady, she said she shouldn't have been in there.
It still was an accident. Like, she didn't intentionally destroy the embryo. I think she said she burnt her hand or something. Or something happened and she ended up dropping them.
Yeah, but she shouldn't have even been in that room with the embryos.
I don't know if she should have been in there or not. I just know you shouldn't be held liable if you accidentally destroy frozen embryos.
If you're not supposed to be there and you're not a healthcare worker to be, I guess moving the embryos around, and you just what are you doing in that room anyway?
I have no idea.
But the larger question is, guys, do we want to consider embryos as children?
No.
Why not? If you can grow into a fetus, if this is what I need to even have a baby. Yeah, I mean, if they have to be artificially inseminated, because that's what IVF is, correct?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Yeah. So if that's how it starts, I mean, we don't get fetuses without embryos. So.
Yeah, but to hold people liable and hold them liable for wrongful death of a minor?
For that situation, yes, because if, a lot of times it's hard getting these embryos, right? And that's what people Yeah, so now this lady got an embryo and she's expecting them. I'm sure they were going to implant it and she's expecting to have a baby.
And you drop 3
of them? And now
she
can't. And she drops 3 of them. And, and as you get older, the eggs don't come as much for women. Like, that's difficult.
Like what?
Yeah. It's a wrongful death lawsuit. Did they win? Did they win the lawsuit?
Well, at that level, it said that they did. That's why it became this issue on the Supreme Court. So it did grant them the wrongful death. Now, I didn't dig into if they actually won that particular. I didn't go down the water hole in that particular couple. But because I want people to look at the larger thing, the slippery slope on if we're going to consider, because this is what they're talking about.
You'll go to jail for abortions now, right?
Right. So I get we want to focus on this one case, but it's not just this one case. This is a conservative movement or push. And if you agree with it, that's fine. If you agree, if you're pro-life, that's fine. But we can't get caught up on this one particular case. The issue is, do you want to consider, just like they're arguing over the fetus and abortion, when does it become a child? Is it not a child? Is fetus? They're now saying that even your egg, is considered a child. Actual child. And it's okay if you want to agree with that, but we got to be clear that that's what the conversation is. That's what the conversation is going to be politically. Yeah. That is what they're talking about when they're saying reproductive rights, because I know conservatives love saying reproductive rights, you just want to have an abortion. No, reproductive rights also gives people the right to have children, to be pro-family, to go through this process, to spend millions or thousands of dollars. Remember, we've had Ebony K. Williams on the show talking about IVF. So
Alabama already got very strict abortion laws. Roe v. Wade is gone, so now they can they'll lock you up for having an abortion.
I don't think an embryo, if something happens to an embryo, it should be the same law as abortion. But in this other case,
it will be based off your logic, though.
No, but in this other case where this woman went into a facility and had no right to be there and killed that embryo, that's something different.
Yeah, but you do realize in these cases, like remember with the girl who had didn't know she was pregnant and she had like the miscarriage on the toilet, they charged her.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So this is like Chaz is saying, it's a slippery slope.
No, it's a slippery slope. But because I don't think it should be considered. But in that case where somebody has paid the money and went through the right process, and like Tez said, this lady wasn't supposed to be in this room and was in this room and dropped it and destroyed it.
But it was hers.
Should it be a child though?
Was it
That's
hers?
what
I believe so.
But should it? But I want to ask you, Envy, because we got everybody on the record. Jess said it should be considered a child. Charlamagne, it sounds like he's saying no. I want to know.
I don't think it should be.
Let's get off the case. Do you think it should be? As a father, do you think it should be considered a child?
No.
Like a real child?
No.
Because we can't just do case by case.
But you kind of got to, because in this case it's totally different.
It's dependable on a bunch of
because it's
things.
But I know it's
like
different.
robbery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, but I know it's different. But the court is going to have to establish whether it's a child or not. So I know this particular case, but the issue is it a child?
I would say no. I would take that case out. I would say no.
We got to take the case out of it and just decide, are we going to consider this a child or not? Just like with abortion. No. Is it a fetus is a child or is it a fetus? That's where the question comes in. So Jess, you're saying you believe that the embryo, you're on the side, leaning to the side of it being, case aside, being considered a child.
I don't know. I'm more leaning toward yes than no. For sure, yes than no. Like case aside and everything.
Well, this is going to be an interesting conversation, guys, as people continue to move forward. Because remember, we talked about this before. People are running on issues. So Democrats will be running on reproductive rights, Roe versus Wade. Conservatives will be running on immigration. So this is a topic that's going to keep coming up, because remember, what happens in Alabama can also happen in another state. People start following this as a precedent. So I just, very
I don't think, I kind of agree with Envy. I don't think this whole case should be used as a precedent for that, but I know it will be, because I'm looking at it now. Like, she did go in there and just grab a handful of embryos.
I'm saying,
That's what it says. It says she walked into an unsecured doorway and removed several embryos from the cryogenic nursery. The patient's hand was freeze burned by the extremely low temperatures, so she dropped them.
Yes,
right, but the Chief Justice, I know y'all want to keep talking about the case, but the Chief Justice, in his opinion, said, before all birth, all human beings have the image of God.
Now, I'm with you.
Lives.
A crime was committed. I don't know if it was a wrongful death,
right?
But a crime was committed,
right? Absolutely.
So maybe not wrongful death, maybe just a crime for going in and grabbing a handful.
Yeah. I don't know about no wrongful death, charging them for the wrongful death of a minor, but a crime was committed.
But think about it. We both have friends that women who frozen their eggs, and they get to an age where they don't have as many eggs anymore. So imagine that's their last eggs, and the lady just dropped their last eggs and embryos.
A crime was committed. I just don't know if it's a wrongful death.
But it could have
been
a
wrongful death of a child.
See,
that's what we got to be clear about. This. They're literally considering a child.
I'm with you.
That's So that's the. Like I said, maybe a crime, but maybe not that.
Yeah, not wrongful death of a child. A crime was committed for sure.
A crime was committed.
Breaking entering for embryo or something. Something. Maybe not a child, but that's what conservatives are going to run on. These are children. You heard Nikki Haley say it.
No, but
she went through IVF.
They're not really, because they haven't, because the body might not accept them. And if the body doesn't accept them, then, the embryo.
But before we get there, she dropped him on the floor.
That's right.
So it's we can't even see now.
You're right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Well, that is front page news. Thank you, Tez.
All right. Absolutely.
Now, Charlamagne.
Oh, make sure you follow at Tesla Figaro on all social media platforms and subscribe to the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.